So I wanted to give my first impressions of Genshin Impact. I've been playing different types of gacha games for the last 5 years. Some of the games that I've played have been Brave Frontier, Bleach Brave Souls, Gundam Gunplay Warfare, every version of a Final Fantasy gacha game that was basically released at any point in time. And one of my other personal favorites was Dragon Ball Legends and Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle. So with all my time playing those different games, I've gotten very familiar with the types of formulas that these gacha games will use to incentivize players for rewards, the different types of systems that are in place, and the way a person invests into getting certain characters they want, how different it is for a free-to-play player versus somebody that's spending a lot of money. And with the pull rates being what they are at 0.7% in Genshin Impact right now, this isn't the kind of game that you really want to invest any money into to pull characters. There's $180 that you would need to invest into a single banner of an event wish banner of a character to have the most likely chance of pulling that character. So that's 180 because 90 is a guarantee 5-star, but it doesn't guarantee you the featured banner character, especially also if there's 2 featured banner characters. Then if you want to pull both of those exact characters, you're going to double that 180 so that you have a higher chance to pull what you want when it becomes available in future updates. And so the way a person plays that's free to play versus somebody that's spending a lot of money in the game is going to be 2 completely different things. So the $5 extra Primo Gym package that you can get in the shop might be worth the money because you get a decent amount back for the money you put in, and it's very cheap. But overall, in all of these different types of gacha games, the biggest reason why I quit all of them was because after a while the game got kind of repetitive and just didn't offer me enough to stick around, even though I really enjoyed certain aspects of it because I really liked Final Fantasy and I really liked Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. But the problem is that the mechanics of the game for gacha games and mobile games themselves couldn't draw me in enough to keep me around longer. And along with that, these gacha games have a model of monetization that is, in a sense, gambling in nature, and it's very easy for people to get psychologically addicted and spending way more money than they should on these games. And this is something that I believe should be changed in these games in terms of the rates, in terms of limit caps on how much you spend, and just different ways to be more morally sound with the way that they run it. Because at the end of the day, it's a business, and what they care about most is making the most profit they can. And 90% of their revenue that they generate from their player base is actually going to be from the whales. The people that are spending tens of thousands of dollars into the game are usually the ones that are keeping those games doing really well, because 90% of the player base is probably going to be free to play, completely free to play. There's going to be a ton of players that's not going to even drop a single dollar into the game. And then you have what we call in those communities the whales, the dolphins, and the pure free to play. So the whales will spend an absurd amount of money, and then you've got the dolphins who will spend a few bucks here and there, and over the accumulation of a few years, they might have spent a few $100 or something into the game. I downloaded this game and wanted to try it out because people were telling me that it's very similar to the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I was a huge Breath of the Wild fan, and I love the mechanics and gameplay of Breath of the Wild. But what I liked about this game, on top of Breath of the Wild, is the combo potential and character switching and the fact that your weapons don't constantly break. I also had this weird irk with Breath of the Wild that I found it kind of odd that with the sword and other weapons you would use, when you were hitting with the weapon, the character would constantly just stand directly in place and wouldn't have any movement. I just found that kind of odd. So all that aside, I think that Genshin Impact has done a great job to create a very immersive experience and a game that feels like a true AAA title. But the issues that people are going to run into and the complications that the game has in itself is that it is still just a gacha game. And it has all of the limitations and restrictions that you will find with a gacha game. This is a free-to-play game, so the incentive and monetization of the game is to get players to spend real-life money into the game to invest into the gambling aspect to pull certain characters or weapons that they would really like to use. And over time, the different tactics that the game uses and psychological ways that it works with people is that it kind of it can potentially create these addictions for people to flush a ton of money into this game to get something that's going to give you short-term satisfaction, but in the long term, it's not going to really make you happy. And so I would just urge people to be very, very careful about the spending on a game like this. Some people are happy to just play completely free to play, to roam the world and use whatever characters they're able to get their hands on. But other people that just want to try new characters and really want to, advance their experience in the game as much as they can are going to be more tempted to pull on these banners and start spending real life money into the game when it's not a good use of real-time income unless you're somebody that's making money off of content and using these banners and everything to produce videos. I just think even then, I don't know, there's certain things about these gacha games that I just feel is kind of predatory. And so as much as I enjoy certain parts of the games, there are those kind of darker aspects of these companies that are running these businesses that people have to be careful about and watch out for. So there's a lot of self-control that's involved into everything. The other thing about the game currently is that the resin system limits a lot of the activity you can do. And so after people complete the bulk of the main story and quests that are available right now, there isn't a whole lot after that they're able to really do, because after everything that's completed of the main content, you're just going to run into your daily commission quests, and you're going to spend about 5 minutes in the earlier part of the day, maybe 5 to 10 minutes in the later part of the day, waiting on resin restores to do those missions to do your farming, because other than that, there's not going to be too much going on. So if Genshin Impact were to change anything to better their gaming experience, one of the things they could do was to fix the pull rates so that people have a higher chance of pulling characters that they would like. Because as it stands right now, you should never have to wait on the guaranteed pull to most likely pull any kind of 5-star. That's kind of ridiculous. The lowest rates I've usually seen on a game are around 3%. And on those 3% games, at the end of the month, they also have a double percent banners for 6%. So seeing something of a character locked behind a 0.7% chance wall just seems kind of crazy to me. Especially at first, I gave the assumption that this game wasn't going to release that many characters, and certainly not that frequently. But after seeing the 1.1 patch update and the amount of characters they're planning over the next few months, there's definitely enough characters there that there's no reason that they shouldn't up these rates, because there is a consistent amount of new characters that's going to come in at a relatively quick pace. You look at my characters, you notice that I have Diluc and Venti, and the way that I got both of these characters was just continuously re-rolling until I was able to manage to pull both on my first multis. So a lot of free-to-play players will use those re-rolling strategies to kind of give themselves those good characters they want off the bat, so they have something that'll help carry them with the end game content later. But I've also seen people playing the free-to-play characters and the 4-star characters that have done pretty well in the current end game content, so that's also a positive to see. So as a free-to-play player, when you're saving your resources, the best way to use it is when you see a character that you really like coming out soon, or if you're following the meta and you want to use the best tier characters that you can, you just save up as much of your gems as you can until those character banners become available, and then you spend your resources only on the characters that are really going to benefit your team composition, and the things that you need to do in the game. So some people like pulling on the characters that they just enjoy to play with, or they have the characters that they like the aesthetic of. And that's fine too. It's your play experience. You should be able to do what you want with the game. But I would just let people know that it's very important to save as much resources as you can. The more likely chance to actually get the characters that you're trying to hold out for as a free-to-play player. That will give you the satisfaction of more likely being able to play with the characters that you want and not waste the resources on banners that aren't going to be the most desired thing that you want as well. The last thing to keep in mind is that the banners for featured units do carry over for the wishes for that guarantee. So if you throw down 80 wishes, which is 8 10 pulls on a certain character's banner, and do not get that character, those 80 wishes that you spent will be accumulated towards your guarantee pull. So the next pull you do on the next banner of a featured banner character will pull you that character or another 5-star. So that's my first thoughts and some tips and tricks when you're getting into a game like this, things to watch out for, and just an all-around strategy to better enhance your gaming experience. If you guys really liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel because I'm trying to grow right now, and I'll be releasing more content on a regular basis. Thanks, y'all.